Hello all, this is Manjusha Bhosle from KK Polytechnic Nashik. Today we will see the working of shortage of first CPU scheduling algorithm. This is under the scheduling part of operating system. The objectives of this video are to understand the HGF algorithm and to calculate average waiting time, average turnaround time and total turnaround time. This scheduling algorithm is also called as shortest remaining time first or shortest next CPU burst scheduling algorithm. So let us start with this algorithm. First, we should know that when to use the algorithm and why to use this algorithm. So these algorithms are used to decide which process to execute first and which process to execute next. That is, when there are multiple processes waiting in the ready queue to get the CPU for their execution, at that time operating system has to decide that to which process the CPU shall be allocated. So at that time operating system uses some scheduling algorithms, but again there is a decision that which scheduling algorithm is best for this snapshot or scenario. So first we have to consider some CPU scheduling criteria. There are 5 CPU scheduling criteria. CPU utilization, that means we have to keep CPU utilized or busy as much as possible, that is up to 90%. There should be more and more throughput, that is more and more instructions or processes shall be executed within the time or in per time unit. Then turnaround time is the total time which takes to execute a complete process. Response time means whenever we pass our first input and whenever we get the first output, that is first response, that duration is called as response time. And waiting time means how much time the process waits in the ready queue and other queues to get the particular resource. So in this all these things we have to achieve maximum CPU utilization, maximum throughput, minimum turnaround time, minimum response time and minimum waiting time. So to do this we select a proper scheduling algorithm to decide which process to execute next. Now the computer scientists have defined some algorithms like FCFS, first come first serve, then shortage of first, SJF, priority scheduling and round robin scheduling. Out of we will see shortage of first scheduling algorithm. Now what is the principle of this algorithm? Jobs are executed on short burst time basis, that is if there are n number of processes in the ready queue, they are waiting for CPU, then the process which has short or less burst time will get the CPU first. It associates with each process the length of its next CPU burst, that is when any process is executing in the CPU and if any new process came in the ready queue, then the remaining time of current process will be compared to the burst time of new process, and if the remaining time is more, then that process will be preempted, and if it is less, then it will be continue. So always SJF gives optimal result, that is it gives minimum average waiting time for a set of processes. If two processes have same length, that is same burst time, then we use FCFS scheduling algorithm, that is the process which has came in the ready queue first will be given to the CPU first. It is also known as shortest next CPU burst. It is somewhat difficult to understand and implement, but of course this gives good result. It is non-preemptive also and preemptive also. When any process is executing in the CPU and if new process came in the ready queue, then if the remaining time of the current process is less than the burst time of the new process, then it is non-preemptive. That means the current process will be continue and the new process will wait in the ready queue. But if the burst time of new process is less than the remaining time of current process, then the current process will be preempted, that is the CPU will be forcefully removed from the process and the CPU will be assigned to the newly arrived process. So this scheme is known as shortest remaining time first. So SJF algorithm sometimes works as non-preemptive and sometimes works as preemptive. In summary, if a process P1 is executing in the CPU and new process P2 came in the ready queue, then we have to compare the remaining time of current process and burst time of new process, and accordingly we have to decide whether to make that SJF primitive or non-primitive. Now we will see how to solve the example if it is given that set of processes and their burst time, and we have to ask that to draw the Gantt chart, calculate average waiting time and average turnaround time. Now here is one example. The set of processes is given P0, P1, P2. The burst time is also given, and we have to first draw the Gantt chart. So how to draw the Gantt chart? See, as P0 is having 24 millisecond of burst time, of course it is more than the P1. So first we will execute P1, then P2 and then P0. So it is very simple. If arrival time is not given, you can directly decide that which process to execute first according to the burst time. So this is non-primitive, because at the particular instant you know all the processes and their burst time. If you know the Gantt chart properly, then you can find out the waiting time of each process. So here the waiting time of P1 is 0, P2 is 3 and P0 is 15. So here you can observe P1 is not waiting in the ready queue for a longer time, it is immediately assigned to the CPU, so its waiting time is 0. For P2 it is waiting in the ready queue for 3 millisecond, and P0 is waiting in the ready queue for 15 millisecond. Okay, so this is what the waiting time of all the processes P1 0, P2 3 and P0 15. Now we have to calculate the average waiting time, and the formula is very simple. You have to just add all waiting time and then divided by number of processes. So it is very simple. You just add all the waiting times and divide it by number of processes. So here is 6 millisecond average waiting time. Now how to calculate turnaround time? Turnaround time is nothing but the sum of waiting time and the burst time. So as we have calculated waiting time and we know the burst time also, we will just add it and calculate the turnaround time of each process. And then to calculate average turnaround time, make the summation of all around times, turnaround times, divide number of processes. So 19 millisecond is the average turnaround time, and total turnaround time is nothing but the burst time, addition of all the burst time. So 24 plus 3 plus 12, that is 39 millisecond is the total turnaround time. So this was the first case where we have not considered the arrival time differently. For all we have considered same arrival time, that is 0, and we have drawn the Gantt chart. We have calculated individual process waiting time, we have calculated average waiting time, then turnaround time for each process, average turnaround time and total turnaround time. Now our second case is, what if the arrival time is given and we want to make it primitive. Okay, so here again the same processes are given, but the arrival time is given 0, 1, 2. Now according to this we have to calculate the Gantt chart. So let us start with this. Now see here, first, as at 0 time unit, P0 was in the ready queue and at that time no process is waiting in the ready queue. What we will do, we will just assign CPU to the P0, but after 1 millisecond execution, the next process, that is P1, is coming to the ready queue, and that's why the remaining time of P0 and the burst time of P1 will be compared, and of course the burst time of P1 is less. So we will preempt P0 and we will assign CPU to the P1. Again, when P1 is completing its 1 millisecond of execution, the next process P2 is coming to the ready queue, and we have to compare the remaining time of P1, that is 2 millisecond, and burst time of P2, that is 12 milliseconds. So of course P1 is the shortest, so we will continue P1 at the end, and then we will think about P0 and P2. So out of these two processes, the remaining time of P0 is 23 and the burst time of P2 is 12. So out of this P2 is short, so we will first execute P2 and then we will think about P0. So at last we are executing P0. So this would be the Gantt chart. Here in Gantt chart you don't need to write these arrows and all these things, P1, P2 and 2. You have to just write this 0, 1, 16 and 39. Don't write any another thing. Now using this Gantt chart we have to calculate the waiting time of each process. So as I said, waiting time is nothing but the time for which the process waits in the ready queue until the first process completes its execution. But here in this case, as arrival time is given, there may be the less time the process is waiting in the ready queue. For example, if you consider this P2. Now P2 has came in the ready queue at second time unit and it has assigned to the CPU as fourth time unit. So we cannot consider 4 as a waiting time of P2 because it has came at second time unit. So 4 minus 2 will be the waiting time of P2. Similarly, P0, as it is immediately assigned to the CPU but afterwards it is preempted and it is given to the CPU is given to the P1, it is waiting in the ready queue for 16 minus 1 millisecond. So P0 has waiting time 15 millisecond. P1 is immediately assigned to the CPU, that's why 1 minus 1 0 millisecond, and P2 has 2 millisecond. Now using this waiting time of individual process, we will calculate the average waiting time, that is just the summation of all waiting times divided by number of processes. And then as we all have waiting time of each process, then we can calculate the turnaround time just adding burst time to the waiting time of each process. So this is what the turnaround time of each process. Now average turnaround time is addition of all turnaround times divided by number of processes, and total turnaround time is nothing but the summation of burst time. So this would be same even if the arrival time is given and not given, as it is the addition of all the burst time. But the average turnaround time, average waiting time and turnaround time always changes if arrival time is given. Now the third case is, what if arrival time is given and we want to make this algorithm non-preemptive. So some another example is given here, and we have total 5 processes. The sequence is not in a sequential order, and burst times are given and arrival time is given. So according to this, if you want to make it non-preemptive, first what you will do, you will assign the CPU to that process which has came in the ready queue first, as the arrival time of P4 is 0, P4 will execute first, and you will complete that process, you will not preempt that process. Now as P4 will complete its execution, up to that all other processes are already came in the ready queue, and then you will decide that which process will execute next according to the shortage of first algorithm strategy. So of course next process will be P2, then P3, then P0, and then P1. So accordingly you will get the waiting time of all the processes. Then we will calculate the waiting time of each process. At the time of calculating waiting time, you have to also consider the arrival time. You have to minus it from the starting time of each process. For example, here if P0 is starting at 26th and if its arrival time is 2, you have to minus it from the starting time, that is 26 minus 2, 24 millisecond will be the waiting time of P0. And to calculate average waiting time, the formula is same, you have to add all the waiting times and divide it by number of processes. So this would be the average waiting time. Similarly, to calculate the turnaround time, you have to just add waiting time and burst time of each process, and then you will calculate the turnaround time. Individual turnaround time will give you the average turnaround time. Make the addition of all turnaround times and divide it by number of processes, and total turnaround time is nothing but the addition of all the burst time, and that will be 77 millisecond. I hope all you have understood all these concepts. Thank you all. We will continue to the next algorithm in next video.